All right, we're live. It's 8:15, and hopefully you're hearing me right now. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Gumby. I'm the new San Jose Downtown Association Board President, and I'm happy to be here. For those of you who don't know me or haven't heard of me beyond that, I've run Heroes Martial Arts in downtown since 2009. I also have a second gym, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu style gym on the east side at the Capitol Square Mall. I've been involved with the Downtown Association. This is actually my second stint around there. I did a 6-year stint, came off, got dragged back in, and here we are right now. So a couple of things on my presidency. I'm going to say I really value conversation, discourse, input, participation. So that's going to be key to any of these meetings. We'll talk about the rules engagements in a second. But I like an active panel. Like I like active talking. I like a lot of participation and viewpoints on that, so we can come to the consensus. Because I think at the end of the day, we're all wanting the same thing. We're all wanting a better downtown and a better San Jose. And I'm the first small business storefront owner that's been in this position for a little while. So I think. I'm trying to represent everybody in downtown San Jose. I want everybody to have a better place in here, but I'm particularly sensitive to the needs for all the small business folks that are actually out there right now. And I'll go ahead and make the mention that we wanted to be doing this live. We wanted to do this in person like we did our last meeting. It was so nice to see all the faces on there. Unfortunately, with everybody being aware of what happened with Omicron and the surges came over, we decided that it was better, more prudent to do this online for right now. And you have your benefits. I may or may not be wearing pants right now. I may or may not wear pants on the any other meeting on this right now, but we're all good for that. So you can be casual, you can be comfortable and be ready to go on this. But yeah, we'll do this right now, and then hopefully soon, the numbers are very encouraging right now. So we just got to get the word when we're ready to go ahead and do these hybrid and in person right now, because I'm really looking forward to meeting a lot of you in person or seeing a lot of you in person again. Okay. So today our meeting is all about the Pbid, okay, and Pbid renewal, okay, and why this is so important. To San Jose. A lot of you have gotten ballots that are on here right now. A lot of you guys might have questions about this. What's a Pbid actually? Pbid stands for Property-Based Improvement District. Okay, it's an assessment of the properties in the district to provide enhanced services. The most well-known being Groundwerx, okay? And I think all of you will know exactly how awesome Groundwerx is. I even before I was aware of what the Downtown Association was, I knew how awesome Groundwerx is. You see them basically doing the cleanup on our mornings. They're more than cleanup, so they're ambassadors for our city. I personally, even 2 weeks ago, I got a call, I don't think they're aware that I was the Downtown Association president, but there was a bit of graffiti on my one of my properties. And they called up and was like, hey, would you like this cleaned up? And I'm like, yeah, of course I want it cleaned up. So they actually reached out to me to do that from my business over on Heroes Martial Arts on the SOPA district. But I'm sure that, we all have questions about this. We're going to tell you how awesome this is and how much this is needed and how much this makes a vibrant downtown that's accessible for everybody, residences, business owners, property owners, et cetera, and how we're going ahead. And this is our renewal for the 10-year thing. So we'll tell you all about that. And we're going to be open to questions on this too. So the way that our questions work is we have a Q&A session. So if you click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll be able to submit your questions, which we will get to. It won't be done live. We'll kind of compile the questions. If some of you have the same question, then we'll go ahead and try to answer that as we go through. We'll try to give you some credits on that. Yeah, so this is participation. We want you to know all about what the Pbid renew is all about. I'll know what the benefits are to you and answer any questions you might have about that. Okay. So I want to go ahead and acknowledge a few people that are in here right now. We've got close to 100 right now. I'm assuming that more people are coming in, and we have a Facebook stream. So I want to go ahead and thank Councilman Cohen for being online. Thank you very much. I see any other names on here. Oh, 99 will be up to 100. Well, I'll acknowledge you guys in a second, but it's important that everybody's on here. The person that I have to now pass this over to is our Pbid president, Chris Fries. Now, to let you know that the Pbid is actually governed by a separate board of directors, even though it's managed under the umbrella of the San Jose Downtown Association. My equivalent on this, the president of the Pbid, is Chris Fries, head of Redco Development, and he's going to be the one that's going to be leading this meeting and going through the renewal presentations and discussions. So thank you, Chris, for being here, and take it away.
What a great intro. Thanks, Gumby. Lively and energetic this morning, probably because you already had one workout class. So Gumby is a great fixture downtown, and we're, it's as a representative of the Pbid board, I think it's a really collaborative effort between the two boards and what we are able to accomplish. As we were talking about, we're a voluntary board made up of commercial property owners, mostly. I joined the board in 2015. I purchased my first property in downtown San Jose, a small building on 2nd Street in the historic district in 2014. And near and dear to my heart were, as you're trying to reposition and create lively spaces for people to want to go to and occupy and be part of our awesome downtown. All the services that the Pbid was offering became abundantly apparent to me in terms of its impact to really create change. So, I've been a member of the board, and then this year I took over as president. But a couple of housekeeping items. I'd like to remind everybody that the Facebook live chat is not going to be monitored. Please ask all your questions on Zoom. I will be hosting the Q&A at the end of the presentation, so we will try to get all your questions answered as best we can. And that this will be recorded and online on the SJDA website. So to the extent you want to share this with folks or go back and re-review some of the information that's shared, it'll be there for you to take a look at. So in terms of, I was driving up from the office this morning, and the radio program I was listening to was saying, one of the easiest things you could do today was to just say thanks. And, I think that's kind of an interesting goal today, for this year, because, say thanks and smile. We've all been kind of hiding behind masks for the last couple of years. And, so I'd like to thank our board members that are all volunteers. And I'd like to thank the SJDA staff who works and really puts all the effort here forward, and the Groundwerx team. Hope springs eternal. We had Groundhog's Day a couple weeks back. Winter was, forecasted to continue, but the weather that we've been having really makes me think that in the coming weeks and months, we're going to start to see things come back the way we love downtown to be. Outdoors, enjoying the social activities, having a drink in a parklet, or some great food. And so, new businesses are starting, new construction projects are breaking ground. I really believe that we are turning a corner here, and I'm excited for the year to come and see what comes. That's not going to change what the last 2 years have been for folks who live, work, and play in downtown and call their businesses there. It's been incredibly hard with lots of challenges. But I think that with what we have in front of us, we are going to have the right tools to push forward and create real change and positive change downtown. The Pbid has been around for 14 years. We are up for renewal for the next 10. And we've heard loud and clear that our services that we've been providing, we'd like to continue them, but also expand them and address other things that are important to the downtown core. One of those services that are going to remain and will be expanded is Groundwerx. You may have seen the Groundwerx team around in their orange and green uniforms, our ambassadors of the city. And I can't praise enough thanks to what Groundwerx does, how they operate, the the things that they do with a constrained budget and the impacts that they have to all the businesses and property owners downtown. So with that said, I'd like to thank and acknowledge one of the Groundwerx employees, Frank Chavez, who was our Groundwerx Employee of the Year. And we have a little video from Frank.
Hi, I'm Frank Chavez, and I am a pan and broomer, and as well as an ATLV operator here at Groundwerx. Pan and brooming is important downtown because it keeps our city clean, it helps the pedestrians walk down the street, and it also keeps everything more in place. As an ATLV operator, I am able to help out by clearing the bike lanes and helping out with the sidewalks. A renewal of the Pbid will extend Groundwerx's services for the next 10 years.
Thanks, Frank. Really appreciate everything you do. Congratulations on your acknowledgement this year. One of the things that everybody should have received is their petition. One of the most important things we're trying to achieve out of this meeting is have a collective dialogue, like Gumby said, get your questions answered, and to get those petitions mailed back in by March 1st is our goal, so that we can get our important, keep the process here going on the renewal. So with that, I'd like to introduce Chloe Ship. She's our Director of Public Space Operations. She oversees Groundwerx, the district's clean and safe beautification programs. And she can share a history of the last 14 years of service under the Pbid.
Good morning, everyone. Jessica is going to pull up a slideshow for me. Thanks. Next slide, Jessica. So hopefully you know that we've been around since 2008. So I'm going to talk a little briefly about what our accomplishments are over the last 14 years and what we've seen. Next slide. In total, we've invested over $36 million in downtown over the last 14 years. This is truly an effort on the behalf of our property owners, our members, with over $29 million in assessments going directly into our Groundwerx services, our beautification services, and small business support. I can't stress this enough. The city of San Jose is a huge supporter of our district, both with a baseline services contribution that covers the work they would be doing if the Pbid didn't exist, as well as an assessment paying property owner in the downtown. We also have over $1.5 million in earned income over those 14 years, ranging from contracts to grants. This doesn't take into account all of our in-kind donations and pro bono and low bono services we've gotten from our members over the years to help with capital projects. But that's just investment. What about the actual work? My favorite stat from the last 14 years is the fact that we've removed over 4.6 million pounds of trash and debris from the public right-of-way and public litter cans. I can't picture what 4.6 million pounds of trash looks like, but it sure is a lot. Our capital projects have changed over time as well as we've grown as an organization. We started with our Panda Wall on First Street in 2008. We are on the third version of that today, potentially a fourth to come. And we started installing festoon lightings back in 2008. Fast forward to 2021, and we've opened our second dog park that's a combo with Sofa Pocket Park in partnership with Vegilution. And we're working on a programmable lighting network throughout downtown. We have three locations right now: San Pedro Square, Circle of Palms, and Post Street. Next slide. So where do we provide these services? We have a current district boundaries. Next slide. And we're broken into two service districts. That pink center is our premium zone, and then the blue exterior is our basic zone. For folks in the premium zone at this point in time, they're receiving a higher level of Groundwerx services than those that are in the basic. That also means they're paying more. And so you see a direct reflection in the services we're able to provide in the basic zone versus premium. Next slide, please. We've heard about Groundwerx already, but we're going to talk about them again. They're our most noticeable program and the largest component of the Pbid's budget. Our Groundwerx team works almost 365 days a year, 7 days a week. Next slide. Last fiscal year, we responded to over 7,600 calls for service, and we removed over 550,000 pounds of debris. That's how we get to that 4.6 million number. We also abated almost 25,000 tags. That could be as small as a little scribble on a window and as big as 8 feet long. Next slide. Street life really is the cherry on the top of the work that we do. It adds vibrancy, it adds joy, and it adds fun to downtown. Next slide. Tree trimming, landscaping, hanging baskets, watering, that's all a component of this. We have landscapers working 5 days a week to make sure that our downtown trees and plants are doing well every day. Next slide. And we've completed over 60 street life projects. If you haven't been to Moment to pick up something to shop, something for Valentine's Day, I encourage you to go now. Moment just got a new tenant, Plant Slut. Fun name, even funner shop for you to get things. This has been a great partnership, both with the city, the Knight Foundation, and with San Jose Made. And it took many years to come to fruition, but it's added vibrancy to San Pedro. And we're very proud that Source Zero has been able to graduate from this space and move across the street into San Pedro Square Market. Next slide. We also provide technical assistance through our small business support. Next slide. This small but mighty team focuses on helping our small business owners get into spaces and get open quickly through permitting assistance, identifying commercial spaces, and advocating on their behalf when the different processes they go through to open a space don't work the way that they should. Next slide. Last year, we had some really great highlights, which included helping support our members in the city of San Jose as Alfresco began and grew. You can see what Post Street used to look like. We also opened a small business support center on 3rd Street, just north of Santa Clara, so that we can meet with folks in person, go through things like your plans, your permits, your documents, so that you aren't missing things when you're submitting. We're also working on the Monterey corridor and on the Alum Rock corridor in conjunction with the city's Office of Economic Development to help those areas grow and thrive through an EDA grant. Next slide. That's where we are today. Now we want to talk about where we're going. I'd like to introduce Brad Siegel, President of Progressive Urban Management Associates, to talk about the renewal process and our next steps.
Thank you, Chloe, and good morning, San Jose. Next slide, please. My name is Brad Siegel. I'm a consultant that's been working with San Jose off and on for about 15 years. I used to work with the Pbid in downtown Denver, and in the last 30 years, our firm has worked nationally. We've worked in more than 300 cities. So not only do we have a sense of San Jose from our past work with you, but also we bring some best practices, and renewal is a time to look at, can we innovate and can we emulate some of the programs that are working well in other cities? So this is the second renewal. The district, as Chloe mentioned, was formed in 2007. The first renewal was 10 years ago in 2012, and it was roundly supported by property owners. More than 90% of property owners supported renewal at that time. Next slide, please. We've been working on this renewal really for almost 2 years. We got started in the summer of 2020 on a stabilization plan to respond to the pandemic and COVID. and look at how those challenges could inform how both the Pbid and the San Jose Downtown Association evolve moving out of the pandemic. So there's been a lot of outreach, a lot of stakeholder outreach, almost 1,000 voices from downtown property owners, business owners, residents that have gone into this blueprint, this plan for the next 10 years of the Pbid. What we heard, safety, the #1 concern downtown. Some of this is certainly pandemic related, but some of these are longstanding challenges within downtown. So the Pbid plan really tries to hone in on how can we be impactful coming out of the pandemic to make downtown not only cleaner, but also safer. There's a sense that Groundwerx does a great job with the resources that they have, but concern that they may be undercapitalized, particularly again with some of the pandemic-induced stresses that we're seeing. So inflation, the need for these frontline workers to be compensated appropriately are all concerns that we heard in our process. The need to fill vacant storefronts coming out of the pandemic is certainly critical moving forward. And then the connectivity between different pockets of activity within downtown San Jose. Next slide, please. We also heard and saw, we've been able to get to downtown a couple times here over the last year and just saw the remarkable progress that's happening in downtown San Jose and the amount of new development that is either underway or proposed. So downtown San Jose is certainly at a transformational point, and the Pbid needs to respond to that. So in this renewal, the sense was that the Pbid really could be bolder, more impactful, more inclusive of a whole variety of downtown interests and its neighbors moving forward. Next, please. So here's the plan. Here's the plan for the Pbid. And as Chris mentioned, those of you who are property owners or residents within downtown, you should have received a petition package that outlines the next 10 years, the summary management plan for the Pbid. The guiding principles for moving forward, that clean and safe remains fundamental. We want to make sure the Groundwerx program is strong. 2, to think boldly and to be an innovator, to really keep up with best practices in downtown management. 3rd, to be adaptable, flexible as downtown changes, particularly as new development comes online over the next 5 to 10 years. And also look at broadening services beyond just clean and safe. And this, again, is where some best practices from other cities comes to play. Next slide, please. So these are the proposed changes in a nutshell. We can go into more detail in the Q&A. But we are adding more resources to safe and clean to allow for more deployment of these services throughout downtown. We're also introducing what is being called a social impact program. And this is to coordinate with social service agencies and to provide more concentrated outreach with the unhoused population in downtown. It is based on best practices that we've borrowed from places like Atlanta and also Southern California, where these social impact programs have worked, actually have been very impactful, both pre-pandemic and post. Secondly, and this is a fairly significant change and clearly a best practice of Pbids in larger cities throughout the country, we're proposing to move from 2 zones, those 2 zones that Chloe pointed out, the basic and premium, just to 1 premium service zone. So everyone within downtown benefits from the highest level of services that can be deployed from clean and safe. It also allows for maximum flexibility to deploy those services as different hotspots or different concerns arise in different parts of downtown. Thirdly, we're adding capacity in other areas of activating public spaces, business support, concentrating on storefront regeneration over the next couple of years, communicating better with property and business owners and residents, and then also a fund for service innovation and special projects so we can stay on sort of the cutting edge of best practices in managing downtown. And then lastly, building flexibility into the design of the Pbid itself. So as new development comes online, we can adapt to that as well. Next slide, please. So we looked at a variety of expansion options for the Pbid. There are development changes, certainly over the last 10 years and proposed over the next 5 to 10 years, virtually all the way around downtown when you start looking at it. So we initially identified a variety of different expansion areas. Next slide, please. And then through fieldwork and through discussions with property owners, business owners, we sort of honed in on 5 different areas that we're proposing to expand on the district this go around. We are also proposing to take another look at this in 5 years, because this is all subject to change as new investment comes into the area. The other major change we're making is moving from these 2 zones to 1 new premium zone. So next slide, please. So the new map for the Pbid, and this again is in petition packets. And the petition, I should mention, the management plan, the business plan for this is not only available directly to property owners, it's also available on the website and some information on the San Jose Downtown Association website, and some information will be provided on that. So we're moving toward 1 unified zone of service. So everyone is going to get premium service delivery throughout downtown. Next slide, please. So probably the question on most of your minds is, sounds great, but what's this thing gonna cost? So in terms of budget, we are looking at a fairly substantial increase in budget. And from the budget slide, you can see that the vast majority of funding is still in the clean, safe, social impact, and beautification area. So almost 80% of the proposed Pbid funding goes to these core services. On the sources of funds, on the lower part of the slide, assessments do compile the vast majority of this. So 89% of the funding for this budget is coming from property assessments. Notably, and Chloe mentioned this, the city of San Jose continues to provide support through that base level of service agreement, so about $500,000 in funding. Plus, it's notable that the city of San Jose is the #1 assessment payer. They have the highest assessment in addition to this base level of services agreement. The general benefit adjustment there, that $92,000, those are funds that cannot, those are services that can't be funded through assessments. They must be funded through other means. And we do have our team engineer with us today if you have any technical questions related to the engineering or the assessments or the general benefit. Next slide, please. So we're moving forward. We're actually simplifying the district as we move forward. There's just going to be 2 rates for everyone in the district. If you're a commercial property, you'll be paying about 13.4 cents per square foot of lot plus building. It's lot plus building. 13.4 cents of lot plus building per year. That is an annual cost. And for non-commercial uses, these are nonprofits, residential, other non-commercial uses, the 1 unified rate is about 10.8 cents per square foot of lot and building per year. If you're a condo, it would be a pro rata share of your entire building. If you're a mixed use building, the commercial portion of your building is going to be charged the higher rate, the residential portion of your building, the lower rate. Next slide, please. And let's actually skip this one because we have another slide coming up talking about next steps. So what are properties being charged? These are just a few examples, just to give you a sense of what the bottom line is. So the Axis condo building, which is pretty new, the average condo in there is paying about $168 per year. That's an annual cost, or about $14 a month. 111 West St. John is the office building. And for that office building, that almost $24,000 a year, what that equates to is about 15 cents per square foot of building. So the cost to the tenants or the cost to the building owner is about 15 cents per square foot of building per year. Again, an annual cost, not a monthly cost. And 35 East Santa Clara is an example of a smaller commercial building. And that assessment comes out to about $250 a month when you parse that out over 12 months. Next slide, please. So I think this is my last slide. How do you participate in the renewal? Property owners, there'll be more virtual and in-person meetings over the next month to learn about this. You all hopefully have received petitions at this point, and March 1 is our desired date for those petitions. So you have a few weeks to sort of mull this over, but we really want to go back to what we did 10 years ago, get that 90% approval and get these petitions back as soon as possible. There are 2 steps to this. The first is petition. This will be followed by a ballot. So in the spring, there'll be a mail ballot that follows this up. And then also for business owners, more in-person and virtual meetings. And also let your landlord, if these services impact tenants very directly on the ground floor, particularly Groundwerx. And it's important that tenants let their property owner know that these are impactful and they're necessary for downtown moving forward. So at this point, thank you for your patience as we went through the presentation. And I believe at this point, I'm handing it back to Chris.
Thanks, Brad. It was really helpful. And I hope everybody got a good understanding of what's in front of us, and hopefully are excited about the expanded services, the social impacts team, the larger budget for us to go do greater things over the next 10 years. So, and kind of the simplification of the services across the district. So we've heard from Brad and from Puma, and we've heard from Chloe and the SJDA folks on staff, but I'd like you to hear it from 2 of our members and a downtown tenant about how Pbid affects them and their, why they're supporting the renewal.
Hi, I'm Mark Lewis. My wife Sherry and I are in our 5th year as downtown residents. Prior to the moving to the downtown, Sherry and I were active patrons of the downtown food and art scene for over 30 years. The PBID programs that mean the most to us are, first and foremost, the programs that support cleanliness and safety. So this will mean the Clean Team and the beautification and street life programs. The programs that support downtown businesses and business development are very important to us as well. The proposed new district focuses that mean the most to us are, first, the increase in Groundwerx services. With those increased services focused on supporting the mantra, clean and safe, are fundamental. Next, we would say the addition of the social impact team, focused on mitigating the impact of homelessness through collaboration and coordination with social service providers. Why are we voting yes on the renewal of the PBID? Frankly, we can't imagine life in or around our neighborhood or into the downtown core without the services that the PBID Groundwerx provides. One can sense almost immediately that they are stepping outside of the PBID boundaries. As a downtown resident and patron benefiting from the services that the PBID Groundwerx provides, one can understand why we are the envy of neighborhoods outside of the PBID.
Hi, my name is Sarah De La Riva, and I'm with Rubicon Point Partners, owners of 111 North Market and 111 West St. John, otherwise known as Market Square. We truly appreciate all of the Pbid programs, but especially want to recognize the Groundwerx crew who takes care of the areas that oftentimes our staff can't reach. We are extremely excited about the addition of a social impact team, as we believe this is an essential piece of outreach that is badly needed in downtown San Jose. We are supporting the renewal of the Pbid because the staff has demonstrated their enormous impact they have on the safety and cleanliness of the downtown streets. Additionally, their support of small ground floor businesses has been crucial during some very trying times. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Echeverry, and I'm the owner of Havana Hubert restaurant. We're located in the Sofa Market on First Street. So with Groundwerx, we work like a team. They provide excellent services. They keep the front of our business clean. They are a liaison between the homeless and us. They understand how to speak to them and what services they can do, like use, where we really don't have the time to help them. And I feel like we work together as a great team. Secondary police units. I feel when they walk around in a group, they're talking to businesses, they're allowing they're allowing us to speak to them about the problems that we see and where us as a business owner and the building, where we need help. It was great. Like, they came by and I told them we do have problems with the homeless, and they gave us packets and who we could call and to help them, to help them spread the word to the homeless people that there are services out there. So I thought that was very beneficial. And of course, I feel very safe as a community when they're walking around, and I enjoy watching the kids, going up to them. And, if we all work together, we can make this an excellent city. I am looking forward to the social impact team. I know that a lot of these homeless that are living on the street, we seem to have the regulars that are always here, and we try to help them as much as we can, but they really do need services, and I know they're not going to walk in. So I think it's important to have someone to come to them and help them and educate them a little bit of what is available to them, especially when it comes to housing and mental issues. They really do need guidance. I'm encouraging my landlord to vote yes on Pbid. As the community, we need to grow, and as a business owner, we need services to help with the problems that we have with homeless, and to keep our storefronts clean and attractive for our neighbors, our tourists, and those that go to the convention center. And we want it to be a nice place where people want to visit and want to come downtown to eat.
I really appreciate those candid testimonials. Thanks, Mark, Sarah, and Jennifer. Now we're going to kind of get into the meat and potatoes, which would be a Q&A, and this is how it's going to work. So there's a button at the bottom of your screen that you can submit questions, and I've got we were taking those questions as they come in, and there's some folks here to help me answer as we go through. So I'll read the question out loud, and we have Scott, Niece, and Chloe from SJDA, and then Brad and Kristen from Puma to help kind of address the questions. And so these folks will be jumping in here. So I'm just going to get started and start with one that's a common question that's confusing to many, and it was for me for first couple of years I was involved. But Scott, what's the difference between the business improvement district, or the BID, and the property-based improvement district, which is a Pbid?
Good morning, everybody. Scott Niece. I'm the executive director of the Downtown Association. I was around when we started the BID, which stands for Business Improvement District. This is an assessment that the state of California allows through a sponsoring municipality. So every year the bid is approved by the San Jose City Council, and it is on the business license tax. So if you're within the boundaries of the bid on your business license, annual business license tax, there's a bid fee, and these are restricted to marketing, promotions, and events and communications. We started the Pbid. I was in a group in 1994. We didn't have this legislation in the state of California for property assessment districts because we had these big, strong redevelopment agencies. And we got Pbid legislation passed in 1994. But as Chloe said, it wasn't until 2008 that we started the Pbid services. Those are an assessment on property. So when we say residents, those aren't our renters, those are our condo owners, those are the residents that own property. So you have to own real property, and you get an assessment on your property bill that comes. We all know that well. We pay it in December and April. And just like the mosquito abatement district or the water district, those little lines that you see added, if you're inside the district, you look at your property tax bill, it'll say Pbid, and there we are. And you saw that those services that the Pbid funds are also restricted, and we use those, as Brad pointed out, primarily for the clean and safe Groundwerx services.
Thanks, Scott. I think just to clarify there, I heard you say that, so the business improvement fees, that separate bill that folks are paying out there, the Pbid assessments come directly as a line item on the tax. So if they're looking for where that shows up, it shows up there on their tax bill. Here's another common question that we get, and I'm going to shoot this one over to Brad with Puma. Brad, can you kind of explain to folks why we have different assessments or different percentages for different types of properties?
Sure. And I'll also probably go to the engineer on this one too. So Kristen, be ready to back cleanup on this. So in order to put together an assessment district like this on property, there's an engineering exercise that looks at how do the services benefit different types of property. So the services, the clean and safe, the social impact, the beautification services, those benefit everybody, and the costs of those are spread throughout all different types of uses. But when we get into marketing, business support, sort of economic vitality type things, what we have found in doing these in California, that those types of services tend to benefit commercial properties more than they benefit other types like residential condos or nonprofits. So that's where that distinction is. It's determining which properties benefit from which services, and then we come up with that dual rate. The commercial properties are deemed to benefit from all these services, while the residential and nonprofit are benefiting from some, but not necessarily all. Kristen, would you add anything to that?
No, I think you covered it, but you're right. We just have to look at how every parcel benefits from all the unique services that the Pbid is going to provide. And then we have to go through that analysis to make sure that the assessment that will be charged against each parcel is in relationship to the benefits from each of those services.
Thanks, Brad and Kristen. So the next question that came in was just more of a process question, and I'll kind of open this one up to the group. And maybe Kristen, since you were just speaking, and Chloe, you can add some color, but just talk about the petition, the process forward. Why is it a yes only petition? What does that mean? And how what are we expecting folks to do here as we go forward in the next couple of weeks?
So you want me to take that? So in California, we have two legal processes that we have to go through. One is the state law, and then one is the state constitution. The first one is the state law, which actually is the Pbid law that we're following right now, which says that in order for this district to be formed, we actually have to get petitions signed from the property owners that represent more than 50% of the assessment budget. That's the petition phase. That's actually not the legal part of the balloting process. This is just allowing us to get before City Council. That would then allow an assessment ballot, which is the official vote, to be cast later on. But we can't get to City Council until we actually get through the petition phase, which is the 50% of the property owners. At which time, when we do meet that 50% threshold, we then do move to a city process in which the city clerk would be mailing out an assessment ballot to all the property owners that are assessed. And every property owner then on that assessment ballot has the opportunity to say yes or no on the ballot. And that is the determination then moving forward of whether the district would be renewed for another 10 years. So the ballots then get returned to the city clerk. And then at a date in the future in June, we would hold a public hearing, and then the clerk would set a time to open up all the assessment ballots that have been returned and tabulate the results of that. And the way the tabulation works is it's basically $1, one vote per dollar assessed against your property. So the more you are assessed, the more your votes carry through the district. So it's one vote per dollar of the assessment levied against your parcel. I know that's a lot of information, so if you need detailed information more, Chloe and I'd be happy to help you offline.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is if you have further process questions on the path forward, I think that there's a lot of staff here that can help. Complicated, but worth it for the next 10 years. Let's jump on to the next question here that came in. So this one I'm gonna send out to Chloe here. And it's kind of a common question we get. It seems like the city already provides all the services that the Pbid provides. So why do we need the Pbid? Are these services redundant?
That is a very common question. And the short answer is PBIDs are required to be supplemental to city services, not to supplant them. So the work that we're doing is really above and beyond what the city would provide. The city does contribute in with that baseline services agreement to cover the cost of things that they would be doing if our district didn't exist. A really great example of that is prior to the district existing, the city paid for about 40 hours of pressure washing per month. Currently, under our existing management plan, we actually provide 668 hours of pressure washing per month. So we go above and beyond what the city would provide. Additionally, we're able to support doing things like murals on private property, something the city would not do with their public art program. Still adds public art, but it's not on city property.
Thanks, Chloe. So the next question we have here, this is, I think this is from G from Yobox. This is a common question we get, and I think it's worth addressing. So Chloe, since you were just speaking, I'm going to kick this one back to you. We see a lot of homeless in downtown San Jose. It's a common question is, what are we doing? How do we think about it? How can we help them? And what will the Pbid's role in the next 10 years be as part of addressing that?
This is also a very common question, and thank you, G, for asking. Our social impact team is really the biggest component within Pbid renewal that we're looking to add to address our unsheltered population. We've come a long way in the last 14 years as to how we as a city interact with our unsheltered population and provide services. And the feedback we've been getting from our members over the last 5+ years is really, they'd like us to put our foot further in to the pool on this solution. And so the social impact team is going to be 5 individuals working in the downtown core in that Pbid boundary, specifically on connecting the individuals we see every day to our service provider partners. We're already doing that now, both as a staff, SJDA staff and Groundwerx, but this really allows for intentional time to build trust, to specialize, and really be more robust in the handoffs that we provide to our social service partners. We've had really great conversations with city, county, and nonprofit partners on what this is going to look like in terms of the coordination and collaboration, joint outreach efforts, but also helping us hire and train and educate our staff on what our downtown is like, but also the social service layout in this county. We're also considering starting this program early if we can find funding, because we know the issues are now, they're not when the new district starts. And we're really excited. If you'd like to learn more about our homelessness efforts, we do have a committee, an ad hoc committee on homelessness. You can ping me and I can add you to that committee list to learn more.
Thanks, Chloe. So this next question comes in from Rue, and it's a fairly long question she asked. There's a lot of thank yous. I'm going to try to hit some of these. She's just a thank you to SJDA, the Pbid board, the steering committee, Puma. Her question really revolves around the services and prevailing conditions along the riverbanks of the Guadalupe. And I'm going to kick this one back to either Scott or Chloe. Chloe, why don't you, since you were just speaking, you can speak to it, but about what we're planning in this area with the property owners.
Yeah. So first and foremost, that increase from basic to an all premium zone means more Groundwerx in those areas on the map that were blue. Now we have just that one service delivery zone. So you'll see our Groundwerx pressure washers and our cleaning team more frequently in those spaces. The increase also allows for our social impact team. One of the nice things about our social impact team is we can go into the places we don't actually service. We do not service the parks within the downtown core, but our social impact team can walk through and talk to folks when they're in St. James Park and see how they're doing. Or they could walk along the Guadalupe River Trail, check in, report out, communicate with Caltrans or the Water District. As we know, that's a multi-jurisdictional challenge in that area. And so this gives more eyes and attention to the things that we're seeing and more staff time behind those efforts.
Thanks, Chloe. This is kind of another kind of skirts of the district question that came in from Brendan Rawson. And Brendan's question is that, parking under the 280 near the SOFA district is an important part of, just sort of the life and community of the SOFA district. And, how does the Pbid work with, Caltrans, Department of Transportation, and Groundwerx to maintain this area, that their area versus our downtown district, and how do those synergies go? So I'm going to turn that question over back to you, Chloe. So you're on the hot seat.
I hope you're not tired of hearing my voice. So this is a great question. Unfortunately, throughout the state of California, Caltrans has not traditionally paid assessments when assessed. So that is a challenge for a lot of our peers. Taking that into consideration, we did not extend under the freeway. However, we do have the ability, if say Caltrans wants to contract with us, to be a subcontractor, and I would be happy to have that conversation with them to ensure that we actually receive payment for providing work within that space. That being said, we do communicate regularly with city parking staff about the challenges we're seeing there, as they are responsible for that particular parking lot on a regular basis.
I'll chime in a little color commentary with kind of that question about our government partners. As you've heard, the city has been a great partner, the county and Valley Water, that was in Rue's question, the Santa Clara Valley Water District, they all own property in the district and have paid their assessments. We have received money from the state building, the Alquist building downtown. They have paid us occasionally. And the federal building, which is governed by GSA, we've even got money from the feds on it. Other than Caltrans, it's only the post office that has not paid, and this is very similar to other districts around the country. These are the same type of kind of government-owned properties that are in all of these districts, and we've been able to negotiate with the feds and with the state and create good neighbor agreements and show the benefits that the Groundwerx are providing their properties and their customers and their tenants also. And so we're very interested in the fairness of the services being delivered. And really, to Brendan's question, we kind of have a policy. If you can see it from within the district, and if there's a real problem there, we'll go in there and clean something up. But we're not trying to take over the maintenance for Caltrans. They have to be a responsible landlord too. But if you ever have an emergency, on the other side of 4th Street where our boundary is right now, we'll be sensitive to how that impacts our members.
Thanks, Scott. We got a question back for you, Scott. This comes from Mark Lazzarini, one of our fellow developer and property owners downtown. Mark asks, who oversees the BID? So the Business Improvement District, is that city council or a separate board? What's its annual budget? I think Mark's just trying to get a set, kind of an understanding of how this compares to the Pbid budget that we just ran through. And then I guess a follow-on question that he also asked was, how has the city's contribution to the baseline services changed? And I'll quickly just add a commentary here. The city is our biggest ratepayer into the Pbid board. or in the Pbid assessments, and by a substantial amount. And I know that surprises a lot of folks when that comes out, in addition to the kind of base, the services that we're already kind of paying in for. So it's the city is contributing a lot, but I'll let Scott kind of talk to how those have changed over time and address Mark's question.
Yeah, it's not surprising if you think about the big parcels downtown, the Center for Performing Arts, the Convention Center, the SAP Center, the parking garages. Those are all city-owned parcels, and they do add up. And for the BID, similar process when we formed the BID back in 1988. The Downtown Association, the Pbid, we're nonprofit, 501c6 nonprofit organizations. We have no taxing authority. We don't get to collect the assessments. The city collects them through the business license tax for the BID, and the county collects all the property taxes, and then through an agreement with the city, it comes to the city, and then these assessment dollars are distributed to the Pbid or the Downtown Association for the BID. The BID is managed by the association, Downtown Association, so is the Pbid. The annual bid assessment is about $600,000 a year. And as I said, that goes into some of the events that Downtown Association is renowned for, the ice rink, music in the park, Starlight Cinemas, the Farmers Market, Dine Downtown, a lot of the great communication vehicles that we have to keep business owners up to date with what's going on in the downtown. And then for the baseline contribution, it started, I believe, at $375,000, and you can see Mark and others that it's up to $500,000 now in this proposal. I believe, Chloe, please correct me, that in the renewal that we have a COL adjustment that's going to be applied if the city council, we can't commit future city councils, God forbid, but if the city councils are going to have to annually approve this, there will be an adjustment.
Thanks, Scott. Mark, if you have follow-up questions, we can probably jump in there and answer some directly with staff. This next question comes from Gino, and his question is, are collection and distribution of the Pbid funds audited? And kind of a follow-up question here is, are we assured that the Pbid is receiving all the funds from the collection agency? So that one I'm going to kick back to Scott here.
I love this question. So, you know what happens if we don't pay our property tax bill? They have some severe penalties and interest, and they lien your property. So we have a teeter system. We get 100% of what is assessed. We pay the county for that service, and that money comes to the city. We pay the city a little bit of money for processing this as well. So great question, Gino, and we are assured that we get 100%. Not only that, I can tell you that our county assessor's office is on this, and I think any property owner knows is as soon as you get your certificate of occupancy, it seems like the next day you got a supplemental property tax bill in your mailbox. So they're very adept at making sure the property tax revenues are coming into the county.
Thanks, Scott. This next question comes from Anne. She is asking, are churches part of the pays into the Pbid? And I'll kick this one back to Kristen, but I think it's an easy one to answer here. So.
Yeah, under the state constitution, actually, no property is exempt from an assessment if it benefits from the services. So yes, nonprofits, including churches, would be assessed for their proportional share of the services. And like Brad was indicating before, they would fall under that nonprofit residential rate. So they'd be assessed for something less than the commercial properties where they're paying for the clean and safe component, but not for the economic component.
everybody pays, everybody benefits, everybody pays. And let's see here. So the next question comes in from Christopher Denise. And it's related to St. James Park. So I'm going to kick this one back to Chloe. And the question is the Pbid involved in St. James Park, the trash encampments, the sweeps of the park? What are the plans going forward under the renewal? And addressing some of the social impacts that we have there.
We do not provide services within St. James Park, but the city of San Jose does have a supplemental contractor to do additional trash pickup. I believe it's a 5-day-a-week contract. We do service the sidewalk around the park and report out on conditions that we're seeing there to our various partners. So if we see a large scale encampment, we'll work with PATH and the city's housing department to let them know. If we're seeing, say, a broken tree limb or graffiti, we're notifying parks maintenance staff. As I shared earlier, our social impact team and its deployment is really going to be key for addressing our unsheltered population moving forward. If you have ideas of areas where they need to spend additional time, like St. James Park, please do let me know. But we're already trying to think about what St. James Park, Arena Green, and the Guadalupe River Park trail looks like from a deployment perspective, just the section within our boundaries, because we know that folks that are spending their time there are also coming into the downtown core and vice versa. So we want to be mindful of how people are using those spaces, or where people are in those spaces, and how we can communicate with them and connect them to services.
Thanks, Chloe. Kind of a quick question right back to you. It was an anonymously submitted question, but it's with the kind of new increased budget and increased area. The question is, how many additional employees are you anticipating? And I'm assuming this is related to Groundwerx staff and not SJDA staff.
I think you're assuming correctly. So as of right now, we have about 28 full-time equivalent staff members, and we're looking at being closer to 41 full-time equivalent. I will note that the social impact team is an additional 5 staff members as well. They won't be deployed out of the Groundwerx office, but they'll be reachable through the Groundwerx dispatch number, just as our secondary employment officers are. And I saw there's a little additional around how staff are paid. As a city contractor, we are required to pay living wage for our staff. So about 75% of our Groundwerx workforce is earning living wage. And so each year there's a living wage ordinance increase that the city council actually approves. For the remainder of our staff, like our supervisors or machine operators, they're paid above living wage.
All right, I've got one final question here that just came in, and it's from our old Pbid board president, Chuck Hammers, Mr. Pizza My Heart. Chuck, I hope you have your great shoes on this morning. And Chuck's question is, what's coming new in street life projects? Anything exciting? And I'll kind of start this one and let Chloe add in some color. And I think it's with this year's undertaking of the renewal, and some of the transition with the SJDA, we've been exceptionally busy knocking those out. So, but we are actively working on new street life projects. There are some being explored for under 87 on St. John. There are some, so I'll let Chloe kind of fill in some of the additional color, but all those things that we've come to know and love about street life projects, active murals, and the Sofa Pocket Park moment. We're going to continue those and really kind of get those underway in earnest here. So
yeah, so right now we're actually interviewing lighting consultants to help us with our programmable lighting network. That's a really exciting opportunity for us to look at what lighting is needed, not just from a decorative static standpoint, like our festoon lighting, but also an active standpoint, like the San Pedro arch lights that are fully programmable. If you didn't know, you can actually, if you have a community event coming up, you can request a color change off of our website for that event. So say Rock and Roll Marathon is back and they need purple and orange, they can request that, and we can go purple and orange on those lights for when they're here. We're also looking for our next large scale capital project. We haven't identified one. Sofa Pocket Park was a really great example of how we leverage our assessment dollars with in-kind donations, sponsorship, and pro bono and low bono design services. So for every assessment dollar we spent on Sofa Pocket Park, another $1.23 what came in either through sponsorship, free rent. Thank you to Urban Community for letting us use your space, pro bono design services, reduced costs from vendors, and our partner Vegilution.
Thanks, Chloe. Good to hear from you, Chuck. We had one final question just come in. So it's from Bridget McKay, and it's related to small residential units. So her question is, of the smaller apartment buildings in the premium zone that are 10 units or less, are they included? And then how many are included in the proposed expansion area? So kind of similar question.
All parcels within the boundaries are included. I would have to look up to see the exact number of buildings that small. Since the assessment rate is based off of square footage, that may take me a moment, but I can reach out to you, Bridget, after.
That's great. Hopefully this was a helpful Q&A for everybody and helpful sort of just background on everything that we are working on and trying to do. And as Gumby kind of kicked the meeting off, this is, a discussion. So please follow up with questions to staff or myself or Brad and Kristen from Puma. We're all here available to answer questions and try to make this a better process going forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Gumby and just conclude our meeting here.
Thank you, Chris, Kristen, Chloe, Brad, and the whole Pbid team for your presentation and letting us know, Scott, what's going on. I hope that those of you that heard the presentation understand the importance of why renewing the Pbid is so important to our downtown and the benefits that it has. And also what the next steps are and what you can help us to get to that point. And as they said, if you come up with another question later, there's resource that should be sent out from this that you can go ahead and ask that. And also if you have more of an individual question about your particular parcel that wasn't appropriate for this, is more of a kind of this was more of the general format. I'm sure like any of the staff will be happy to answer that for you. I just also kind of want to add on to, I liked the video testimonials that we had supporting the Pbid. There's a couple of additional comments that I wanted to share and put out there from some of my fellow business owners out there. So I can tell you how much I appreciated Groundwerx. So here's Adolfo from Mezcal. Best mole I've tasted personally. Love going to that place. So here's this quote: "Working with the Pbid team and Groundwerx has given me the peace of mind knowing that there are people that can help with keeping downtown safe, supporting small business, and adding vibrancy to our streets. I was able to work with the Pbid team on getting a beautiful mural on Mezcal's wall. Their support was so helpful." So like yet another kind of benefit for Pbid and what the types of things we have to that we're trying to do here. So thanks much for that. Also, we have Julia Garcia from the J. Paul Company, General Manager. Pbid is a resource for our downtown San Jose property team for site cleanliness and added public safety to our tenants and guests. Each division is responsive and takes pride in our downtown area. Thank you very much for that, Julia. I have another one coming up. Here we go. Ted McMahon, Bayview Development, Pbid board member. The Pbid helps fund lots of key services that many residents probably assume are city funded, but are actually from the Pbid. Keeping the downtown core clean is the most visible activity and the one that gets universal praise. The Pbid helps ensure that what we think of downtown has a uniform cleanliness. In addition, their support also extends to public safety services that benefit both residents and business owners. And that was the last slide. So thank you very much for being on here. I'm looking forward to your feedback. I'm looking forward, as the president of the Downtown Association, be working with you, meeting with you. Again, I'm going to put this out there right now, like just as a personal note, is that, the times are tough right now. Like, this is a strange era in the sense that, hopefully, thankfully, like it seems like we're on the other side of the Omicron variant coming out there. But definitely it's impacted our businesses. And it's only impacted our businesses in the sense that, like, yeah, downtown is in a little bit of a lull at this point right now. But the idea of, like, the government help, the PPPs, the IDLs, those aren't coming right now. Like, so it's important to us, like, we need to support our own. We need to support ourselves. So if you can make it a point to, like, visit your favorite downtown spot, or find a new favorite downtown spot and, like, go ahead and explore right now. Like, now is the time right now. Like, we'll get through this, and I am, with each other's support and help and love. And I'm really, really, really looking forward to the next phase of downtown, that we're going to make this as vibrant and beautiful and everything that we can imagine to be. But it takes work to do that. All of our individual contributions and working together on this. So thank you so much for that. And our next public meeting that you'll be able to sign on to, like, we're hoping, like, we're planning on a hybrid one, so we'll go ahead and do this in person. It will be coming up in April. Not quite sure what the topic is, but, like, hopefully I'll see a lot of you out there for our April meeting. And 4 minutes ahead of schedule right now. So thank you again to the Pbid folks for keeping me, like, I know our time is valuable, so I'm going to stop talking. Thank you so much, and see you all at the next meeting.